Hatsy and I am back with part 2 of Diamond's Drive. So this is going to be the whole of the interior, and of course it was all in base game, which was what the exterior was in. I thought that it was very important to have this being base game as well, seeing as it is supposed to be a base game house. So everything in this is not from an expansion pack or anything. I think that I did make one mistake potentially, but then I took it out, so I can't remember what I did there though. But anyway, what I'd done by this point is I put in all the rooms and I decided where I wanted everything. And the reason why I do this before I start is because sometimes it can take me a really long time to do. I also wanted to use some half walls, which I sometimes forget about when I'm building, but in this build I remembered, and I was very happy that I did, because I thought that the half walls gave a lovely look to the lounge and it made it look very open plan. And open plan builds are something that I really like, and open plan is something that I think is very important, especially for light. I love the fact that open plan houses can bring in a lot of light to a build. And in fact, the houses that I've lived in so far with my fiance have been open plan. And the first house that we ever lived in it was like an apartment, and it was actually a very high up apartment. I think I've mentioned it before, but it was in Switzerland. And what happened was the kitchen was completely open plan and it sort of blended in with the rest of the house. And the lounge itself had a spiral staircase going up to an open area above it, which could have been for a dining room, but we never used it for that. It was a television room, and then it had an open plan study. So it was really an open plan house, but it was lovely that everything was just very visible. I liked it that way. I think bedrooms are something that I wouldn't like that way. And why I say that is because I've always thought that bedrooms are something that's supposed to be a little bit private. But of course, everybody's going to have different tastes of that, and that's why I put the bedrooms upstairs just being a boxed off room. And I thought that was important to do it that way, because having bedrooms like that is just important for me. I don't know, I have stayed in very open plan hotel rooms before, which have been very interesting. And also going to Montreux, I think I've mentioned that before as well, I think. But yeah, so the room that I had at Montreux Palace when I used to stay there with my family, the room itself was incredibly lovely, and I think the only thing that I didn't like about it was the fact that the bed was right in the middle of the room, which is absolutely fine for a couple of days, and I actually really enjoyed it, and it was a nice atmosphere to look at the views. But I think from a living perspective, it would really, I don't know, I think it would just be too much for me, too exposed. I just wouldn't like it. But yeah, I do always check that sort of thing, and even where I live now, because I live in the countryside, I am always very wary about having my windows open and stuff, especially as one time when I woke up, I looked out my window and my neighbour was looking right up at me. It was the weirdest thing ever. I have mentioned them on another one of my videos, in fact, my house building one. But honestly, I have had a lot of messages asking, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you, what's going on? But honestly, I just have so much tolerance towards it, because I don't feel like they know they're being inappropriate, and I think that if it does continue, then I will. But at the moment, I'm just sort of living, and it's fine. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but it is a really difficult situation, and I think that I will probably explain more about it in future videos. But anyway, this was when I was doing the interior of the build, so apologies for completely going off there. But yeah, so this was the interior. I went with a very basic look throughout. I love metal flooring. I don't know what it is. It just reminds me of very industrial flooring, and I think it looks very good. I was really happy with the fact that it was base game, because I didn't actually think it was base game until I tried it. And when I found out that it was, it just made my life so much easier just to put it in. It was just one of those things. So yeah, it does have a little bit of a shine on, but I really like that, and I like the amount of detail, because it does look like there's a lot of detail that has gone into it. So yeah, that's what I did there. And for the sofas, I just had white ones. I think that's how I left it. So it was a very white and grey home. I did try to put in lots of different rugs as well, because I do love rugs, and I still think it gives a little bit to the room, and it does make it look like it's a very comforting room, and it does make it look like it's a family home as well. I experimented with a lot of them, so I did change my mind quite a lot throughout this, and I think I went with that one in the end, but I can't really remember. I do think that this place for the family to sit around would just be a lovely place for them to watch television. I would imagine for this house, maybe a family of 3 or 4 Sims would live here, so maybe a smaller family. Sometimes my houses are meant for larger families than that, and if you are looking for a larger modern family home, then let me know because I can always try to recreate it in another one of my builds. That's something that I would actually like to do at some point, maybe make a family home for a lot of Sims, maybe the maximum amount of Sims, I don't know. Yeah, that might be pretty fun actually. But yeah, I was just experimenting with the moving objects cheat as well. I have been quite keen on using it recently, and a lot of the reason why I have is because I've been playing a game called Planet Coaster, and the creativeness of that game is you have to make everything completely from scratch. And I think that it has reflected in my Sims building at some point as well, because it just means that I want to use it more. I want to create my own sort of styles and clip objects. I think that's how you say it, I don't know though. But yeah, so I think it's an interesting thing to do, and I love being able to do that. So that's what I have tried to do recently. I did finish it off with some curtains, and then I moved on to the dining room area, which was in the same bit as this. I only put it in here because there was a little bit of space to kill, and I thought this would be a perfect place to put a dining room table. I wanted to go for glass because glass does say modern to me. And actually, when I was shopping for furniture in Basel in Switzerland, where I used to live, that's what I found a lot of. There were lots and lots of shops that were having glass tables, and we actually ended up with a glass table, which I wasn't too happy about. I think I was very happy about the glass table at the time, but when I found out how much maintenance glass actually takes to sort of keep up, and you have to clean it every single day, because just dirt and everything and just dust, it's just horrid if you don't do it. I mean, if you don't maintain the glass, it can look really bad. But yeah, so I had to do that, and I think that's why I probably regret it so much, because I think with a normal table, even though I would wipe it down, it would just mean that it wouldn't matter, like if I had a little stain as to where I've probably pressed it too hard or left a little bit of liquid on with the cleaning products. I don't know, I think it would have looked a lot better. But I think for me, I think glass was probably a bad idea, especially as I'm not that patient when it comes to cleaning. So yeah, I mean, I think if I was going back in time, I would definitely not go for a glass table. But for The Sims, I think it looks really efficient, and it definitely does look really lovely in here, and I like the idea of not having dirty objects in The Sims 4. I mean, I know we can have dirty plates and things, but if we had dirty tables, I mean, that would be really interesting actually, because we have dirty counters, but I wonder if they'll ever do that. Maybe in The Sims 5 at some point, I'm not sure. This was a bathroom in here, so the bathroom was just a very plain grey room. The interior itself was a little bit grey, and you've probably noticed that by now. I just associate modern architecture with being grey. I don't know why. Or white. Maybe I'll do a really, really white, bright, modern house at some point, but that might be incorporated into Dylan's house. So spoiler alert there, because that is a home which I'm going to be building for my Let's Play the Pomegranates, and that will be Dylan's house at some point. So hopefully you'll see that. This was a kitchen in here, so the kitchen had these modern counters. I don't think you can get these unless you put the cheat in, which I did. BB show hidden objects, or no, BB ignore gameplay unlocks hidden objects. I can't remember what it is. I'll write it below in the description, because if I'm being completely honest, I forgot. And there is so much background noise going on where I am at the moment. It's so difficult to think about different cheats I use. So yeah, I will. I'll put it there below, but it's something similar to that, and that's the cheat that I always use. Ignore gameplay unlocks entitlement, that's it, yes, okay, so that's it. And I just had a moment to think about that. So yeah, this is how the kitchen finished off. I used these counters, I used them all over as well. I thought they looked really good just coming down, and I don't know, I think it just filled up the room a little bit, even though I wouldn't imagine a modern kitchen to have this much detail in probably. I would imagine a very modern kitchen to be very minimalistic, and I wouldn't imagine it to look like this. But I still think it looks good, and I love those upper counters. I think they look really nice, and I was just playing around with different things that I could put in here. I tried to fill it up so it would look like a family live here, and that's what I did there. I was also using lots and lots of base game appliances, so I think there's a grinder in there, like a coffee machine grinder, but I'm not sure. But if there is, then that will be completely base game, and I won't have included anything else that isn't. So yeah, then what I was doing is I was changing the wallpapers around. I thought giving a little bit more texture around here would be a lot better than it was looking, because I thought with how it was looking already with just plain white on every single wall, it just wasn't doing it for me. So I thought doing that would just look a lot better for the build, and I was just finishing off the downstairs by putting some various things on the staircase there. So I put a little railing, and I was putting some storage into here because I love storage for my houses, and I like it from a practical point of view. It does really remind me of what I would imagine a family home to have, because family houses definitely need storage. I mean, one way or another, you definitely need to store things in places. Storage is something that I really don't have in my house at the moment, and I would really love it. One of the only places that we can store things is in the kitchen and also the pantry. But when it came to the upstairs and the clothes and things, we just have these rails that we bought and we just keep everything up there really. But yeah, it's tricky. We do have a place under the stairs as well. That's where the Christmas trees and everything go, which you'll probably see in part 2 of my family home. I think that that'll be really interesting, the Let's Build for it. But yeah, so it has been a little bit of a journey, but we made a humongous mistake with my old house in Basel, where what happened was we bought all this really expensive furniture, like cupboards, wardrobes, etc. Then we had to get rid of it all at the end, and we had to move within the space of about 2 to 3 weeks, which was insane. But yeah, we had to give it all away for pretty much nothing. In fact, one of the wardrobes went away for free because we just had to get rid of it. And I mean, I think that was just a real mistake in itself. So I think we've been very wary of moving around. But I think when we do get a proper family home together and we do move together like properly and we don't rent anymore, then what we will do is we will invest in so many wardrobes and so many cupboards just because we haven't had it for so long. But this was the main bedroom up here, so I didn't do anything too special with it. Same with this room. I think this would be a children's bedroom or potentially a single adult, I'm not sure. But I think that it did end up in these colours, and I did end up putting some various items in, which were of course in the base game because I like to keep saying that during this. But yeah, I was just putting in some general items. I thought that making sure that I was using things that I hadn't used in a while was very important, and I like that idea. I just finished off this room by putting in a little rug there. I don't know why I put the blue one in. I think I was going to change the bed colour, but we shall see. If I don't change it, then I'll probably change it by the end. In fact, maybe while I was actually playing it, it looked like it was grey around the edges. I think that was the reason why I left that rug in, I'm not sure. But either way, what I was doing is I was trying to texture the wallpaperings again, and I was trying to make it flow with the downstairs as well. I was putting in some painting, so I put in a humongous painting here, or at least I think I did. I can't remember, yeah I did. So it was one of those career ones, and that is the end of the build. So I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope to see all future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will speak to you all soon.